Welcome back to MMA Squad. So recently Dana White gives an interview to the TSN Sports and RNC Sports Media, and Dana White was talking about Michael Chandler versus Conor McGregor. He gives a little bit of update regarding their fight, and he also announces Khamzat Chimaev fight later this year. I mean, it's a full interview, so we are going to see. The first thing UFC President Dana White talked about with the TCN media was the Jose Aldo conducting into the UFC Hall of Fame. I mean, he was conducted today at the 7th of July, and he was really emotional. Dana White also stated that Alexander Volkanovski is going to be the future Hall of Famer, and he also talks about John Jones. So we will take a look what Dana White has to say about this all UFC Hall of Famers, the future ones and the present ones.
Against Yair Rodriguez. We've got Jose Aldo going into the Hall of Fame today. So I don't know if there's a little bit of insensitivity asking this, but is Alexander Volkanovski the greatest featherweight of all time?
He's in the discussion. There's no doubt about it. Especially with his attempted move to 55. Many people thought he won the fight. The media kept him at number 2 pound for pound in the world. So it goes John Jones, him, and then Islam. Yeah, I mean, he's in the discussion for sure.
Could we see that fight again in the future? Are you interested in a Volk versus Makhachev too?
I don't know. I mean, we'll see what happens. I mean, when we talk about stuff like that, we didn't even get through Saturday yet. He's got Yair Rodriguez on Saturday, and we'll see how that goes. And he's still got some big fights out there to really cement his legacy.
Well, the thing about Yair, and I always talk about the kind of the pantheon of greatness in MMA. You look at the Georges St. Pierre's, the John Jones. Anderson Silva is also going to the Hall of Fame tonight. These guys beat 2 generations. In John Jones's case, you could argue 3 generations of contenders. To me, this marks Volkanovski's first attempt to beat a second-generation contender in Yair Rodriguez. You look at Ortega, Aldo, Holloway. This is kind of the new class. And I think that's what will allow him to ascend to the heights of those aforementioned guys. Do you agree with that when you look at the resumes of fighters and champions especially, that that's something that really stands out?
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. And obviously and this is the same in all sports, when you start to look at the guys who were the pioneers and kind of started everything, as the sport progresses and gets bigger and bigger, you get tougher and tougher guys. And when you start looking at the level of competition that these guys are beating today, it's a whole nother level.
Do you think that skill for skill Volkanovski?
What makes John Jones amazing is that he's still here and still doing it and moving up a weight class. And but the answer is yes.
Yeah, I mean, Volkanovski at age 34, I don't think he's touching Jones's resume. In fact, given that Jones got such an early start in the UFC, I think that gives him a bit of a leg up over everybody.
I agree too.
The second question that Dana White was asked about in this interview with TSN Sports was regarding the future UFC champions. That what Dana White thinks that who is going to be the future UFC champ, and the interviewer gives some name including Bo Nickel, a lot of fighters, and Dana White chooses Bo Nickel, and he explains why he sees the potential in the Bo Nickel for becoming the future UFC champion.
Do one today. If I were to give you odds on which of these were going to be the next champion, you got Bo Nickel, I got him at -400, Jack Della Maddalena at +180, Tatsuro Taira from Japan at +500, and Yasmin Jauregui from Mexico +700. What's the best value there? Not necessarily who's going to be the first champion, but if you were to walk up to the window and pick one of those 4 scenarios, who is it?
They're all good. I would have to go with Bo Nickel though. He looked so dominant in his last fight, and he's so confident in himself that a switch of, when you switch opponents out and you've been getting ready for, a certain style or a certain guy and put together a game plan and it gets switched on you the week of, that's like the type of stuff that, very well-seasoned vets usually handle well. We're going to see how Bo Nickel deals with it on Saturday night. But, after what I saw to him the last time, I'd bet on him.
Well, he's going to be the biggest favorite, I think, in UFC history.
Oh, really?
On Saturday, -2,500, so 25-1 favorite, which we don't often see. In fact, I think his average odds, if you take the Contender Series in these 2 UFC events, have been 25-1.
Well, when you look at it that way, there's value in betting the other way. like I just said, Bo is going in against somebody he didn't train for, somebody he wasn't ready for, and the guy he's fighting, has some experience, and it's interesting.
What makes Bo Nickal so special, and what do you think is his roadmap? Like, if he gets a win this weekend, when does the level of competition start to really step up for him?
Well, there's a couple of things. I think it's the style of wrestling that he learned, when he was coming up. He did a lot of mixed martial arts while he was wrestling. I'm sure that helps a lot, and he's a gifted athlete. He's a freak.
And now Dana White was asked about Brandon Marina versus Pantoja fight. Brandon Marina has fought three times. The first time he fought was with Davison Figueiredo, and this is his third time he is fighting Pantoja. Difficult is it for Brandon Marino to fight the same fighter he fights? He fights a lot. Brandon Marino was also disturbed. He was saying that he was really tired of fighting Davison Figueiredo, and now it's turn of Pantoja. So here's what Dana White has to say about this situation.
Brandon's the same way. I think that fight's going to be a war.
Brandon says that the stress comes from having to sit with Davison Figueiredo and have Figueiredo send stuff to him on social media. That's where he got stressed out. In the cage, I don't think he has any sort of stress against Davison, but it's just interesting that kind of thing gets to a guy like Brandon because he's so easygoing.
That is interesting. I agree.
Dana White in this interview also gives an update on the potential matchup between Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Musk. Dana White was really confident about this fight between Musk and Zuckerberg. Dana White also stated that this fight is going to be the biggest fight in the UFC history, in the mixed martial art history, in the combat sports history, and also he stated that this fight will broke the PPV records, the pay-per-view records. Dana White was saying that this fight is going to generate the 1 billion revenue for both of these fighters and the other UFC staff as well.
People, I'm sure, have been asking you nonstop about this Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Musk potential cage fight.
Right.
But it seems like and Elon Musk potential cage fight.
Right.
But it seems like hostilities have really grown with the launch of Threads. Do you know about Threads that launched yesterday?
Yeah. I posted on it today.
Yeah. So this hostility is really starting to rise between these two. I think it's starting to get ugly.
Well, we're gonna find out.
Is this something that could actually happen?
Do you think it's gonna happen?
I think that there are hurdles.
What are the hurdles?
Weight classes. Commissions, whether they're going to sanction this. Is it an exhibition? Is it on a UFC card?
Whoever says no, every other state and country will say yes.
That's fair. The money goes to the state, of course.
$1 billion in revenue, this fight.
And both of them are legitimately on board with this idea, and they want to do it in the UFC.
100%.
And do you have any sort of timetable for when you would like to see this in a perfect world?
I do. I'll announce it when we're ready.
UFC 300 is around the corner. I feel like I'm not. No,
there won't be UFC 300.
No.
So the breaking news is here that Khamzat Chimaev will be back in this year. The later this year he will be back. He will be fighting in the middleweight division or maybe in the welterweight division, but the opponent is not announced yet. The rumors are that he will fight Kamaru Usman, the former UFC champion, but it is not official yet. Dana White said he is 100% fighting this year. So here's how Dana White stated his comeback.
No, there's no problem with Khamzat. A lot of this stuff has been timing and personal stuff that he has going on. He will fight this year. So we'll announce soon the next fight for him.
Any update on Khamzat Chimaev and when he's going to be fighting next?
Yeah, we're working on that one right now. I'll have an announcement for that very soon.
And at the last, Dana White gives a big update on the fight between Michael Chandler and Conor McGregor. Michael Chandler and Conor McGregor has been testing by USADA, and he is not entering the USADA testing pool. Conor McGregor, he is not entering the pool, and this fight will not happen if Conor McGregor did all the testing that is done by USADA and many other tests before coming back to fight Michael Chandler. This is a huge fight, but Dana White was not sure that this fight will happen later this year. This fight may go in the next year, but Dana White was not surely confirmed. He was not having a clue about it. But I mean, the way Dana White was talking, he's not sure that this fight is going to happen.
In the past, which is those guys almost coming to blows on The Ultimate Fighter. You were there and you were trying to get to the cage as fast as humanly possible in order to stop
Yeah,
that.
well, it started escalating and nobody was getting in the middle of it, so I realized that I had to do it. Yeah.
What were you thinking in that moment? Because in your head.
Yeah, oh shit. Not good, because what people don't understand is when they see stuff like that happen, they're like, oh, they love it because, the commission doesn't love it, and it's bad when that stuff happens, and it's a pain in the and it can mess a lot of things up. So that can never happen. I was waiting for somebody to jump in, and they didn't. And instead of jumping in, it actually started to escalate.
So this was the Dana White's unseen interview that was all credited by the TSN Sports. So thanks for them. They uploaded it. And there was some clips that I found out, and I hope you enjoyed it. If you enjoyed, don't forget to subscribe and hit the like button. Thanks for watching.